Welcome into STB Sports Take, simply the best sports podcast. I'm your host, Sean Bingham. We're going to do this right here, right now. BYU just beat Utah. I was there. You can see it in the apparel. You can probably hear it in my voice. This is one I wanted bad. I try and be as nonpartisan as I can for the most part, but when it comes to the Commanders and the Cougars, obviously I've got some bias in me. But I called this. I said it would be 23-20 for BYU. It ended up to be 24-21 for BYU, so I was basically spot on. And here's the thing, third and fourth down conversions was the name of the game, just like I said it would be. Utah's third down conversion was the best in the country. Their red zone offense was among the best in the country. BYU's defense stepped up and stopped them in both of those categories. They were 1 of 5 on fourth down, twice in the red zone, and then they were 5 of 12 on third down. Still really good, but well below their average. Their season average is 61%. We held them under 50%. I said if those things could happen, that BYU would win this game. They did exactly that. BYU was more disciplined. BYU was smarter. There were a couple of times where it felt like Utah should have just kicked a field goal. But here's the thing. Here's what happened. Whittingham sent out his kicker early in the game to kick a field goal. Kalani Satake runs out, calls a timeout. But of course, you know, the kickers, they're not going to get iced anymore. They don't really do that. So they kick it anyway. So he kicks it and it just shanks wide right. I think Whittingham saw that and said, nah, we're not kicking any field goals tonight. So after that, on fourth down, Utah repeatedly went for it, even when they were in chip shot range a couple of times. And BYU just kept stuffing them on fourth and short. It was actually very remarkable. BYU came away with a really critical interception. A very athletic interception, I might add. Bear Bachmeier had one of the most iconic touchdown runs in the history of this rivalry, with one of the most iconic calls to go with it. There's a bear loose in Provo. Iconic call for an iconic play. Going to go down in history with this rivalry. But you look at the tail of the tape, Utah outgained BYU by 102 yards. But third down and fourth down, I said that would be the critical thing. Can we stop their drives? They just chip away, chip away, chip away. They had two big plays, one of which was really a fumble that they recovered and went even further with. The other one, of course, was that 49-yard touchdown run to start the fourth quarter. But other than those two big plays, they didn't really have any big plays, but that's not what they do. They just chip away, chip away, chip away. Both of these teams were doing the same thing. The difference was BYU was stopping Utah on critical third and fourth downs, plays that Utah generally converts on, and BYU stopped them. So props to BYU's defense, props to Bear Bachmeier. LJ Martin balled out as well, didn't have a touchdown, didn't have a big breakaway run at all, but had over 100 yards on the ground, nearly 5 yards a carry. He was a workhorse tonight. I thought BYU played tremendous. I thought that Kalani Satake called a great game as a head coach. I would have kicked the field goal at the end there just to go up 13 and make them go and score 2 touchdowns, because if they score a touchdown and get a field goal, now you're in overtime. And with the clock being as short as it was, that was kind of a best case scenario probably for them. And so to kick another field goal would have forced them to have to get 2 touchdowns, which is very, very difficult just given the time remaining in the game and the fact that their offense couldn't move the ball super well down in the red zone against BYU. So I was surprised we didn't just kick a field goal there. It worked out in the end just fine. Actually made my final score prediction even closer, so I'll take it. But big, big win for BYU. Now 7-0, 3 straight against the Utes. So by the time they play next, it will have been 7 years since the last time Utah beat BYU. 3 straight wins. The tables have turned. I have a Utah friend who texted me and said we had a great 20-year run, which they did. I mean, Utah got the better of BYU for, it wasn't quite 20 years, but it was a long time. Longer than a decade. They had 9 straight wins at one point, so it was at least a decade that they dominated the Cougs. But for the last 7 years, we've seen it shifting pretty thoroughly in BYU's favor. The last 20 games, BYU is 18-2. Utah is just 10-10. So some Utah fans out there not happy with Kyle Whittingham, not happy with him not kicking field goals. That touchdown towards the end that Utah had before they had to do the onside kick, that could have potentially been a game-tying drive, game-tying touchdown, had they kicked field goals earlier in the game and made them, which their kicker's not very good, so maybe they don't make him, and that's why Whittingham didn't go for it. But assuming they make those kind of easier field goals, that's 6 extra points, but then BYU would have kicked their field goal, so it could have potentially been tied right there. A lot of things went into this game, but to me, The difference was truly those third and fourth down stops that BYU was able to get that Utah is not used to being stopped on. And then beyond that, just the discipline. Utah had more penalties. Utah had 2 turnovers. One of them was a really boneheaded blunder on a punt return. The interception was just a crazy good defensive play by BYU. But you give a team 2 extra possessions, you give them a few extra yards for penalties. BYU had some really awful penalties down on that last drive. 2 pass interference calls, which put Utah in a position to score that touchdown to get closer. But other than those penalties, there weren't too many boneheaded penalties that BYU had. Utah had several, and they were all good calls. So all you Utah fans wanting to cry, stop it. Crying about the officials is the ultimate sore loser mentality. Don't do it. You need to be above that. Don't be like your athletic director. Nobody's stealing the game from you. Nobody's out to get you. This is sports. Some calls go one way, some go the other. Each team's going to have their things they want to complain about. The truth is the officials are out there doing their best, and the vast majority of the time, especially with replay, they get it right. So no complaining. Let's not go there. This was a great game. 2 very, very, very similar teams doing very similar style, running quarterbacks, not a whole lot of down the field passing, workhorse running backs, and solid defenses. And it came down to whose defense could step up just a little bit more. And tonight, that was BYU's defense, specifically on third and fourth down. So the question for the Cougars now goes to, will they be in the top 10? Can they keep this momentum going? A very difficult schedule lies ahead, so the chances of them running the table are very slim. They are possible. I'll keep hope alive, faith alive as a BYU fan. But now in the driver's seat for the Big 12, big showdown with Texas Tech. Texas Tech lost today to Arizona State, which actually, I thought that was funny. It felt like everyone was crowning Texas Tech for no reason when all they had done was beat Utah, and Utah hadn't beat anybody. So I don't know why it was like we just crowned Texas Tech the golden child of the Big 12. So we'll see how BYU does against them. But Tech's beatable. They just lost to Arizona State. So this is a year where you really, if you're a BYU fan, you really want to see the Cougars get to a Big 12 championship game. They are in the driver's seat, 4-0 in conference, first place, 7-0 overall. Will likely crack the top 12, possibly the top 10. We'll see. This is a big win against Utah. Utah, the line got all the way up to Utah minus 5.5. It started at Utah minus 3.5, moved all the way up to Utah minus 5.5, and BYU really silenced all of that. Really fun game to go to, though. Amazing atmosphere. BYU does a tremendous job. But looking forward for the Cougs, do not let the high of this win go to your head. Stay focused on the job. Keep winning Big 12 games. We've got tough opponents coming up. Iowa State, Texas Tech. It does not get easier from here. Keep your foot on the gas. Stay humble. Stay in your lane. Keep winning games because you have a chance to do something very, very special, which would be to go to a Big 12 championship game, win that game, and get into the college football playoffs. It is yours for the taking, but you got to stay focused and you got to finish this season strong. We got several games left, but I'm proud of my Cougs. I went to BYU. I've been going to BYU games since I was a kid. Went to BYU, graduated from BYU, did sports broadcasting at BYU. So obviously I'm a little biased. Stoked for my Cougs. This is a fantastic rivalry. I mean, it's so fun. I've always known it was one of the best rivalries in the country. I've been following sports nationally my entire life, literally since I was like in third grade, third grade, reading the newspaper for box scores and articles and following everything I possibly could. So I've known about Yankees, Red Sox, Michigan, Ohio State, like you name it, I know about it when it comes to sports rivalries. And I've always known this has to be among the toughest, nastiest, most intense rivalries in the entire country. And now we have guys like Dave Portnoy, Urban Meyer, and other people that are part of Fox Sports saying this is the craziest rivalry they've ever seen. I love the blue and red. I mean, just seeing the blue and red against each other is so epic. I mean, most teams, of course, do their home color, and then the opposing team wears white. But BYU and Utah decided years ago, we're going to go full blue versus full red, and it is freaking awesome. It just adds to the rivalry. So hopefully this puts the rivalry more solidly on the map for the entire country, like in Auburn, Alabama, and things like that, because it is amazing. So Utah had a good run. BYU's now on a run, 3 straight. But anything can happen in these games. They're always tightly contested. The vast majority of them are within 1 score. This one, again, a 1-score game. BYU gets the better of Utah for the 3rd straight time. And I can't help it. I'm stoked. So congrats, Cougars. Congrats to that defense. Congrats to Kalani Satake. Parker Kingston had a great game. Shout out to him. Just an overall great win. So Cougs, keep it going. I am out. Peace.